AITA for refusing to give my sister my condo as a wedding gift because my parents say she shows people beauty while I work behind the scenes. I, 27M, need to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind, and I don't have anyone in my life who would understand. I'm a dental lab technician. For those who don't know what that means, I'm the person who creates the prosthetic teeth, crowns, bridges, veneers, and dentures that dentists fit into patients' mouths. When someone loses their teeth in an accident and gets their smile back, that's my handiwork. When an elderly person can finally eat solid food again because of their new dentures. I made those in my lab, shade matching and sculpting until they look natural. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I went to school for it, got certified, and I'm actually pretty good at my job. My supervisor says I have the hands of an artist and the precision of a surgeon. I've helped restore smiles for accident victims, cancer survivors, people born with dental abnormalities. Last month, I worked on a case for a teenager who'd been severely bullied because of missing front teeth, a genetic condition. When the dentist sent me photos of her crying happy tears when she saw her new smile for the first time, I sat in my lab and just felt something. Pride, maybe. Purpose. But here's the thing about being a dental lab technician. No one ever sees you. The patients thank their dentists. The dentists get the credit. I work in a room with microscopes and Bunsen burners and porcelain powder, creating beauty that transforms lives, and no one outside my profession even knows my job exists. Which brings me to my family. I'm the oldest of 2 kids. My sister Emma, 23F, is a model. Not like supermodel level famous, but she does well. She has 200K Instagram followers, gets booked for regional campaigns, did a commercial for a local car dealership that plays constantly. She's objectively beautiful, tall, symmetrical features, great smile, ironic, I know. And my parents have treated her like she hung the moon since the day she was born. I want to be clear, I don't blame Emma for being beautiful or successful. I'm not one of those bitter siblings who resents their sister's accomplishments. What I resent is the way my parents have always treated me like I'm less than because my work isn't visible. Growing up, it was constant. Emma's dance recitals were family events. My science fairs were, if we have time. Emma's report cards got framed. Mine got a, "That's nice, honey." When Emma decided not to go to college and pursue modeling, my parents fully supported her, helped her build a portfolio, paid for her first professional photo shoots. When I said I wanted to be a dental technician, my dad literally said, "Is that even a real career?" I paid my own way through school. I worked nights at a grocery store while doing my certification program during the day. I saved every penny and bought my condo 3 years ago, a small but nice 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. It's mine. I own it outright because I put down a massive down payment and aggressively paid off the mortgage. It's probably my proudest achievement. Emma, meanwhile, lives in an apartment my parents helped pay for. She's engaged to a guy named Derek, 28M, who seems fine enough, works in finance, makes good money, clearly adores her. They've been together 2 years and are planning a wedding for next spring. Last weekend, my parents invited me to dinner. This is unusual. They typically only remember I exist at holidays. I should have known something was up. We made small talk for a while, and then my mom brought up Emma's wedding. How excited they were. How Derek's family was so well connected. How they wanted everything to be perfect for their princess. Then my dad said, "We've been thinking about what you could contribute." I felt my stomach drop. Contribute. Not be part of. Contribute. My mom jumped in. Emma fell in love with your condo when she visited last year. She thinks it would be the perfect venue for her engagement party. And after the wedding, she was hoping she could use it as a sort of preparation space. You know, for her photo shoots. Somewhere she can do her makeup, store her clothes, meet with clients. I just stared at them. We know it's a big ask, my dad continued, but think about it practically. Emma's career is all about being seen. She needs space to prepare, to look her best. You work in a back room somewhere. You don't need anything fancy. And honestly, son, wouldn't it feel good to support your sister's success? She shows people beauty while you work behind the scenes. This is how you could be part of something bigger. She shows people beauty while you work behind the scenes. I've replayed that sentence in my head about 1,000 times since Saturday. I didn't say anything for a long moment. Then I asked, very calmly, "Are you asking me to give Emma my condo?" My mom laughed like I'd made a joke. "Not give, sweetie." "Sure. You could stay in the 2nd bedroom when you visit." "When I visit my own home," I said. "You're being dramatic," my dad said. "You've always been so sensitive. This is about family." Emma's wedding is a big deal. Much bigger than that little job of yours. We're asking you to step up for once. For once. I left without eating. I drove home and sat in my car in the parking lot of my building, the building I own, and I cried for the first time in years. The thing is, I restore people's smiles every day. I give people back their confidence, their ability to eat, their willingness to laugh in public. I've held photos of patients before and after, seen the transformation I created. And my own family has never, not once, made me feel worthy of my own smile. Emma texted me later that night, "Mom said you were weird about the condo thing. Can we talk? I really do love that place and I think it would be perfect. You'd still have a room." Smiling face with smiling eyes. I didn't respond. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to just give them what they want to avoid the conflict. But another part of me, the part that spent years working night shifts and student loans to build something for myself, is screaming that this isn't fair. That I'm not invisible. That what I create matters, even if no one sees me doing it. Am I the asshole for refusing? Is my family right that I should just support Emma because her work is visible and mine isn't? Edit. I didn't expect this many responses. I'm reading through all of them. Someone asked what specifically I do in my job, so I'll share. Yesterday I finished a full arch implant case for a man who lost all his upper teeth to periodontal disease. He's 52, been wearing an uncomfortable temporary for months. I custom shaded each tooth to match the bottom arch, adjusted the gum tissue tinting to look natural, and spent an extra hour perfecting the canine shape because it's the first thing people notice in a smile. He'll probably never know my name. The dentist will get the credit. But when he smiles at his grandkids this Christmas, that's me. That's my art. And apparently, to my family, that's worth less than being pretty on Instagram. Update 1. My supervisor changed everything. It's been 2 weeks since my original post. I want to thank everyone who commented. I read every single response, even the harsh ones. But I need to share what happened because I'm still processing it. The day after I posted, I went to work in a fog. I couldn't concentrate. I was working on a Maryland bridge, a really delicate piece that requires precision, and I just kept making mistakes. My supervisor, Harold, 62M, noticed. Harold's been in the dental lab industry for over 30 years. He's the kind of guy who doesn't talk much but sees everything. He came up to my workstation around lunchtime. "You're off today, Marcus. What's going on?" I almost lied. I almost said I was tired or had a cold or something. But I was so emotionally exhausted that I just told him everything. The dinner, my parents' request, the "she shows people beauty while you work behind the scenes" comment. Harold just listened, not interrupting, his face unreadable. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled up a stool and sat down beside me. "I'm going to tell you something I don't talk about much," he said. "When I was about your age, I was working in a lab in Toledo. Small operation, just me and 2 other techs. I was good at it. Really good. I just won a regional award for a case I'd done, full mouth reconstruction for a burn victim. Featured in an industry magazine." He paused. "My father never mentioned it. Not once. He was a car salesman. My brother was a car salesman. They understood selling things, being charming, closing deals. What I did, sitting in a room making teeth, that wasn't real work to them. It was playing with clay," my dad said. "I was 40 years old, at the top of my field, and my father introduced me to his friends as the one who didn't take over the business. I didn't know what to say. He died when I was 45, Harold continued. We never had that conversation. The one where he understood what I did, why it mattered. I kept waiting for it, and then he was gone, and I realized I'd spent my whole life trying to earn recognition from someone who was never capable of giving it." He looked at me directly. "Marcus, you can't make your parents see you. That's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their limitations. But you're 27. You've got decades of life left. Don't spend them the way I did, waiting for validation that isn't coming." We talked for another hour. Harold told me about resources he'd found helpful, therapists who specialize in family dynamics and childhood emotional neglect, books about invisible children in narcissistic family systems. He mentioned something called golden child/scapegoat dynamics in dysfunctional families. He gave me the name of his own therapist, who he'd been seeing for 15 years. "It's not about blaming your parents," he said. "It's about understanding why you feel the way you feel so you can stop carrying it." That night, I made an appointment with a therapist. Her name is Dr. Reyes, and I've had 2 sessions so far. In the first session, I cried for 40 straight minutes describing the dinner. In the second, we talked about something she called emotional invisibility, how children who are systematically overlooked develop patterns of minimizing their own needs, seeking approval from people incapable of giving it, and struggling to believe their work has value. You restore people's smiles, Dr. Reyes said. But who taught you that you're not allowed to have one of your own? That question broke something open in me. I also responded to Emma. I sent her a message saying that I wasn't willing to give up my condo or share it as her preparation space, but I'd be happy to host a small engagement party there if she wanted, one evening, limited guest list. I thought it was a reasonable compromise. Her response, "Wow. One party. That's all I'm worth to you. Mom was right, you've always been jealous of me. Whatever. I'll find somewhere better anyway." My parents followed up with their own messages. My dad said I was being petty and selfish, and that he was disappointed but not surprised, given my history of putting myself first. My mom sent a long text about how hard Emma has worked for her success and how I don't understand the demands of her industry. I didn't respond to any of them. I just sat with it. For the first time, I didn't feel the overwhelming need to apologize and fix things. Dr. Reyes says that's progress. I'm still processing. But something has shifted. When I went to work the next day and saw the bridge I'd been struggling with, I finished it in one focus session. It was perfect. And when I held it up to the light and saw the translucency in the porcelain, the natural gradient I'd created, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt proud of myself, without needing anyone else to validate it. Harold walked by and gave me a nod. "That's a beautiful piece, Marcus." "Thanks," I said. "I know." Update 2. Unexpected development. It's been about 6 weeks since my last update, and something unexpected happened. Derek, Emma's fiancé, called me. I hadn't spoken to him directly since the whole situation blew up. We'd met maybe 4 or 5 times at family gatherings, and he'd always seemed polite but distant, very much Emma's attachment rather than his own person. He asked if we could meet for coffee. I was suspicious, honestly. I assumed my parents had sent him to negotiate on their behalf. But something in his voice sounded different. Genuine, maybe. We met at a cafe near my workplace. Derek looked tired. Not unhappy exactly, but like someone who'd been doing a lot of thinking. "I need to tell you something," he said, after we'd gotten our drinks. "About 2 years ago, before Emma and I were together, I was in a bad car accident. T-boned by a drunk driver running a red light." He paused, touching his mouth unconsciously. "I lost 3 of my front teeth. Broke my jaw. Had to have reconstructive surgery. It was, honestly, the worst time of my life. I couldn't eat normally for months. I couldn't smile without feeling self-conscious. I had temporary teeth that made me look wrong, somehow. Not like myself. I felt my stomach tighten. I knew where this was going. The dental work I eventually got, the permanent teeth, changed everything. Not just how I looked, but how I felt. I could smile again. I could eat. I could laugh without covering my mouth." He looked at me directly. "Someone made those teeth, right? A person, in a lab somewhere." "Yes," I said. "A lab technician. I never knew that. I thanked my dentist 100 times. I never even thought about whoever actually created my teeth. And then when Emma told me what her parents said to you, she shows people beauty while you work behind the scenes, I just..." He shook his head. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Whoever made my teeth gave me my confidence back. They gave me my face back. And I didn't even know their job existed. He pulled out his phone and showed me something. I looked up what dental lab technicians do. The artistry involved. The training. The cases you work on. "Marcus, you're an artist. What you do is incredible." I didn't know what to say. "I talked to Emma about this," Derek continued. "About how her parents treat you. About this whole condo situation. She was defensive at first, but I told her that I couldn't marry someone who didn't see a problem with how you've been treated. The man who gave me back my smile deserves better than to be treated like he's invisible." He told me that he'd insisted Emma start therapy before the wedding. Not as an ultimatum, but as a condition of moving forward. "I love her," he said. "But I grew up in a house where everyone mattered equally. What her parents have built, this dynamic where you're less than because your work isn't visible, I won't be part of that. And I don't want to raise kids in a family that operates that way." I asked how Emma had responded. "She's in therapy now," he said. 3 sessions in. "It's been hard for her. She's starting to realize some things about how she was raised that she never questioned before. She's not there yet, but she's trying." He also told me something that surprised me. Emma had been to my building, just to look at it from outside. She told me she felt guilty, Derek said. She didn't really understand why she wanted your place so badly, but her therapist helped her see that it was never about the condo. It was about being given things she never earned, because that's what her parents taught her to expect. Your condo represented something she felt entitled to, and she never stopped to think about what it represented to you: years of work, sacrifice, independence. Before we left, Derek shook my hand. "Thank you," he said, "for the work you do. I know you don't hear that from patients because we don't see you, but some of us should. What you create matters." I went home that night and looked around my condo. Really looked at it. The small living room I'd furnished myself. The kitchen where I cook dinner after long days in the lab. The bedroom where I sleep soundly because I own this space, because it's mine. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to justify any of it. Final update. 4 months later. I promised I would update when there was something meaningful to share. I think I finally have closure. 4 months have passed. A lot has changed. The engagement party happened at my condo. It was exactly what I offered. One evening, limited guest list. I set it up nicely, got some catering, decorated the living room, made sure there was good music. About 15 people attended. Some of Emma's close friends, Derek's family, my parents, unfortunately unavoidable, and a few mutual acquaintances. My parents were frosty. My dad barely spoke to me. My mom made a comment about how quaint the space was for such an important occasion. I let it roll off. Dr. Reyes and I had spent many sessions preparing for this. Strategies for disengaging from provocative comments, grounding techniques when I felt myself getting pulled into old patterns. Emma arrived last. She looked beautiful, she always does, but there was something different in her expression. Less performative. More present. She pulled me aside almost immediately. "I need to apologize to you," she said. "Not a quick sorry, but a real apology. I've been in therapy for 3 months, and I've learned things about our family that I never saw before. Things I participated in without realizing." She was crying. Not for show. I know what Emma's camera tears look like. These were real. "I was raised to believe that my face had more value than your hands," she said. "That being seen mattered more than creating. Mom and Dad put me on a pedestal and I just stayed there. I never questioned why you weren't standing next to me. I never asked why your achievements were treated as less than mine. I just accepted the attention and assumed you were fine in the shadows." "I wasn't fine," I said quietly. "I know that now," she said. "Derek's accident. He told me about talking to you. When he described what it felt like to lose his teeth, to lose his smile, and then to get it back because someone like you rebuilt it. I kept thinking about how many times I've looked in the mirror and taken my smile for granted. Never once thinking about the people who give that gift to others every single day." She told me about her therapy sessions. How she'd had to confront the reality that her parents' favoritism had damaged both of us. Her by teaching her that her worth was purely surface level, me by teaching me that I was invisible. "We were both harmed," she said. "In different ways. And I'm so sorry for my part in it. I'm sorry I asked for your condo. I'm sorry I made you feel like what you have doesn't matter. I'm sorry I've been a terrible sister." I hugged her. I don't remember the last time we hugged that wasn't performative, for a photo or a family gathering where physical affection was expected. This was different. Real. "I want to do better," she said. "Will you give me the chance?" The wedding happened last month. It was smaller than originally planned. Emma and Derek decided they wanted something intimate rather than extravagant. About 60 guests at a restored barn venue outside the city. My parents were visibly disappointed by the downgrade, but Emma didn't seem to care. During the reception, Emma gave a speech. I wasn't expecting to be mentioned at all, honestly. But about halfway through, she turned to look at me. "I want to thank my brother Marcus," she said. "Most of you don't know this, but Marcus is a dental lab technician. He creates prosthetic teeth, crowns, bridges, dentures, implants, for people who've lost their smiles. He's an artist and a craftsman, and he works behind the scenes so that people like me can be seen." She paused, collecting herself. "For most of my life, I didn't see him. I was raised to believe that being visible was what mattered, and Marcus's work happens in a lab somewhere, out of sight. But his art creates the beauty people see. The smiles in photos, the confidence to laugh, the ability to eat without pain, that's Marcus. That's what he gives to the world every single day." The room was silent. My parents looked uncomfortable. Derek was smiling. 3 months ago, Marcus gave me back my smile," Emma continued. "Not by making me teeth, by making me see him, by refusing to let our family treat him like he was invisible, by setting a boundary that forced me to look at myself and ask why I thought I was entitled to more than him. The answer was ugly, and it was hard to face. But because he held that line, I'm standing here as a better person. She raised her glass. To Marcus. Thank you for giving people back their smiles, including mine, when I finally learned to see you. I'm not going to say I didn't cry. I definitely cried. So did a lot of people. My parents looked like they wanted to disappear, which felt oddly satisfying even though I know I'm not supposed to enjoy that. After the speech, several guests came up to ask about my work. Derek's uncle is a retired dentist who spent 20 minutes asking about my lab's shade-matching techniques. A college friend of Emma's said her grandfather has dentures and asked if she could see photos of my work. For the first time in my life, I felt seen by my own family circle, not as Emma's brother, but as someone who does meaningful work. The aftermath has been interesting. My relationship with my parents is essentially non-existent. My mom sent me a text after the wedding saying she was hurt by Emma's speech, implying they'd played favorites. I didn't respond. Dr. Reyes helped me accept that my parents may never acknowledge their role in how they raised us, and my healing doesn't depend on their recognition. Emma, though, we're closer than we've ever been. She calls me every couple of weeks. We've had dinner twice. She asks genuine questions about my work, wants to understand the process. And here's the part that surprised me most. She started advocating for dental technicians on her platform. She did an Instagram series called Behind the Smiles, featuring interviews with lab techs, showing the artistry involved in prosthetic creation. She partnered with a dental lab to document a full case from start to finish, the sculpting, the shade matching, the finishing work. She explained to her 200K followers that the beautiful smiles they see in photos are often created by invisible artists in labs, and they deserve recognition. I built my career on being seen, she told me. I want to use that visibility to help people see others who do invisible work. The response was overwhelming. Other lab technicians reached out to her, sharing their own stories of being overlooked. Dentists started crediting their lab partners by name. Emma even got invited to speak at a dental industry conference about the importance of recognizing the full care team. I went to that conference. I sat in the audience and watched my sister stand on a stage and talk about me, about people like me, with genuine respect and understanding. She showed slides of my work, with patient permission, explaining the artistry involved. She told the story of Derek's accident, how the person who made his teeth never got thanked, and how that realization changed her entire perspective on value and visibility. After the presentation, a woman approached me. She was in her 60s, gray-haired, kind-faced. I have dentures, she said. I've had them for 12 years. I never knew anyone had made them by hand. I just thought they came from a factory somewhere. No, I said. Someone made them. Someone studied your case, looked at your photos, chose the right shade and shape. Someone wanted you to feel like yourself again. She hugged me. A stranger, hugging me in a conference center lobby, because I told her that her teeth weren't manufactured, they were created. I'm in a different place now than I was 4 months ago. I still work in my lab, still create prosthetics, still work behind the scenes. That hasn't changed. What's changed is how I see myself doing it. Harold noticed the difference. You're not working for validation anymore, he said last week. You're just working because you love the work. He's right. I spent years unconsciously hoping that if I was just good enough at my job, my parents would finally see me. Now I understand that was never going to happen, and more importantly, it doesn't need to happen. My work has value regardless of who recognizes it. The teenage girl who cried when she saw her new smile knows. The elderly man eating solid food again knows. Derek, touching his restored teeth with unconscious gratitude, knows. I know. Dr. Reyes says that healing from emotional invisibility isn't about becoming visible to the people who overlooked you. It's about becoming visible to yourself. I'm working on that. I think I'm getting there. My condo is still mine. I added some plants recently, hung some art. I had Emma and Derek over for dinner last month and cooked a full meal in my small kitchen, in my space, in the home I built for myself. Emma helped with dishes and told me about a modeling job she turned down because the company used exploitative labor practices. I'm trying to be more thoughtful about what I support, she said. Derek and therapy helped me realize that visibility comes with responsibility. I looked at my little sister, the golden child, the favorite, the one who showed people beauty, washing dishes in my kitchen and talking about ethical responsibility. And I realized that this was never a story about revenge or justice. It was a story about two people who were both harmed by the same dysfunctional system, finally learning to see each other. Emma sees me now. And I see her, not as competition or the favorite, but as someone who's genuinely trying to grow. That feels like enough. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. And to anyone who works behind the scenes in any industry, creating things others take credit for, making beauty that others get to show, I see you. Your work matters. You matter. Even if no one tells you that, even if your family doesn't understand, even if you feel invisible, what you create has value because you created it. You deserve to smile too. Final note, I made something special this week. A new case came in, a young woman getting married next month who lost her front teeth in an accident last year. Her dentist sent photos of what she looked like before, and she's beautiful. Model beautiful, actually. When she gets her new smile, she'll look like herself again. She'll thank her dentist. She'll probably post photos on social media. She'll smile at her wedding, in pictures that will hang on walls for decades. And somewhere in a lab, invisible, I'll have made that possible. I'm okay with that now. Actually, I'm more than okay. I'm proud.